Very good afternoon to one and all. I'm dealing with the course of power plant engineering. In that, today's topic is diesel power plant. So we started second unit. Second unit there are two parts: diesel power plant and gas turbines. So in diesel power plants, we'll deals with the introduction. So outline of my presentation: introduction, field of applications of diesel power plant, advantages of diesel power plant, disadvantages of diesel power plant, site selection for diesel power plants, terms involved in diesel IC units. So, introduction to diesel power plants. Diesel power plants produces power in the range of 2 to 50 megawatts are used as central stations for supply authorized input. So, diesel power plants produces a power in between of 2 to 50 megawatts only for the central power stations, and after the and from the central power stations they are supply authorized in both. They are used as standby sets for continuation of supply, such as hospitals, telephones, exchanges, radio stations, cinema theaters, and industries. So, diesel power plants are mainly used for the continuity of power supply in various applications such as hospitals, telephone exchanges, radio stations, cinema theaters, and industries. They are suitable for mobile power generation and widely used in railways and ships. So diesel power plants can also use it for the mobile power generations in which can be used in railways and ships. Use it as peak load plants, mobile plants, standby units, emergency plants, starting stations, central stations, industries where the power requirement of small 50 kilowatts. So diesel power plants mainly use it for the peak load stations. So in peak load stations, they are used for the supply of the powers in very small quantities only. That is mobile power plays in mobile power stations. They are used for the used in relationships in standby units, emergency plants in hospitals, in starting stations, central stations. And these diesel power plants is more small suitable for only small and medium outputs only. It is used for the external power stations for small power supplies when compared to the hydroelectric power plants and steam power plants. The diesel power plants are cheaper in first cost as they bought in service. So the diesel power plants provides more economical means of generating electricity in small power plants of 500 kilowatts only. Field of applications. So diesel power plants mainly use it for stand-up power plants. They are used for the power generation and the capacity ranges from 100 to 500 horsepower only. They are used for the peak loads for the other types of the stations. Next, these are used for power supply in remote areas only. So industries concept with the small power plants of 500 megawatts can be used because of higher economical power. They are used to run the auxiliaries for starting the large power plants. So these diesel power plants can be used for running the auxiliary components of other large power plants. Diesel power plants is quite suitable for some places where the fuel charges or reliability of the fuel supply favor oil over coal. Water supply is limited. Loads are relatively very small. Power from other power plants such as steam hydro power plants is not available at too higher cost only. So these plants are used for small commercial supply and public utilities. In public utilities, they are used in hospitals, especially for operation rooms, for running of operation rooms, tunnel lighting, banks, etc. They are suitable for the mobile power generation and widely used in transportations. Already we previously discussed. Diesel power plants are used in the industrial cover. concern where the power requirements are very small per order of 500 kilowatts of diesel only is used. They are used to supply power in small townships in the absence of or presence of the main power stations. These plants have become more economical due to their higher overall efficiencies. So these are the field applications of the diesel power plants. Next, advantages of diesel power plants. So these plants are quickly started and can pick up loads in very short period of time only. The efficiency of the diesel power plants ranges from 30 to 40 percentage, whereas the steam power plants has a overall efficiency of the 15 to 20 percentage only. The plant is smaller in size than the steam power plant because so that's the reason the efficiency of the diesel power plant is very more when compared to steam power plants due to the efficiency. There are no withstand losses in the diesel power plants. It can be located near the stations. Plant layout is very simple. Diesel power plants has low weight to power ratio due to the compact in size. Means the weight to power ratio is very low because due to this reason the size of the plant is very small. The in-plant handling of the fuel is very easy because small storage space of the fuel is required and there is no refuse to be disposal of and oil needed can be easily transported. Limited cooling water requirements used in the diesel power plants. Standby losses are less when compared to the other plants. Fuel cost is the fuel cost is very low. Next, less supervision is required for the diesel power plants, and for smaller capacity, diesel power plant is more efficient when compared to the steam power plants. Less supervision means the labor cost is very less to operate this plant. Compared to the steam power plants, it has some of the auxiliaries like turbines, condensers. In diesel power plants, the lifespan is very longer, quickly started and put up on load. Smaller storage is needed for the fuel. Um, Fuel space is very low. There is no problem of ash handling in diesel power plants. So diesel power plants are generally usually single acting, hence there is no necessity of stuffing boards, glands, glands for piston rods. To start a steam power plant, we need a boiler that is a fired is required, whereas the diesel power plants can be started very quickly. Next, disadvantages of diesel power plant. Diesel oil is costly in India. Lubrication cost is very high. The capacity of the plant is very limited for 500 kilowatts only. High operation and maintenance cost is required. So next, unhygienic emissions of some of the gases like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide is released from the diesel power plants, and also smoke also released. Noise pollution. When operating the diesel power plant, some of the noise will be created. It will create a noise pollution surrounding the diesel power plant. The plant cost per kilowatt is comparatively more when compared to the steam power plant. The life of diesel power plant is small due to the maintenance of the cost. Diesel power plants cannot be constructed for the large scale industries. So these plants are not satisfactory under the overloaded conditions for longer period of the time. Next, site selection for the diesel power plant. While selecting the site for the diesel power plant, the following requirements should be taken. First one is distance from the load center. The plant should be located very near to the load center so that it minimizes the cost of the emission of lines, the maintenance and power losses through them. Next one is availability of the water. Water should be available in sufficient quantity at the site selected. Next, foundation conditions. The subsoil conditions which we are taken for the foundation for the diesel power plant should be capable of very strong support to the for the running of the engines. Access to the site. The site selector should be have both the road and rail transport facilities. And for fuel transportation also, it should be very near to the sources of the fuel supply so that the transportation charge is very low. So the site selection should be away from the towns so that the smoke and gases coming out of the chimney does not affect the towns or the nearby places located for the diesel power plants. Next, heat engine. Any type of engine or devices that delivers heat energy from the combustion of fuel and converts into mechanical energy. Means the chemical energy of the fuel gets converted into mechanical energy by liberating of some of the heat. So based on the combustion process, heat engines are again broadly classified into two types: internal combustion engines and external combustion engines. So internal combustion engine combustion takes place within the working fluid of the engines. Means the combustion process takes place within the engine only. Thus fluids get contaminated with the combustion products. So this is the drawback of the internal combustion engines. That means the fluid gets contaminated with the byproducts so that it will create some of the pollutant matters in the engines. So best example for the internal combustion engine is the petrol engine, whereas the working fluid in the petrol engine is the air and mixture of air and fuel. Next one is the external combustion engine. So in an external combustion engines, working fluid gets energy using boilers. Means in external combustion engines, the working fluid gets energy from the boiler by burning of the fossil fuels or any other fuels. Thus, the working fluid does not come in contact with the combustion fuels, so that it reduces the contaminated in the combustion products. So the best example for the external combustion engine is the steam engine, where the working fluid here we taken is the steam. Next, mainly we are using the internal combustion engines for the diesel power plants. So internal combustion engines are again broadly classified into two types: rotary engine and reciprocating engines. So some of the engine components of IC engines are given below. So first one is the cylindrical block, cylinder, piston, combustion chamber, inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, inlet and exhaust valves, spark plug, connecting rod, crankshaft, piston rings, gudgeon pins, camshaft, and flywheel. So these are the various terms involved in the IC engine. In that first one is the cylinder. Cylindrical block is the main part of the engine cylinder, which when piston reciprocates to and fro, it should have high strength to withstand the high pressure of above 50 bars and temperatures of above 2000 degrees centigrade are used in the cylinder. So the ordinary engine is made up of some of the materials like cast iron and heavy duct engines are made up of steel alloys or aluminum alloys. In multi-cylinder engines, the cylinders are cast in one block, so they are known as cylindrical blocks. So the cylindrical head is mounted with the cylindrical block. So this is the cylinder. So the cylindrical head is mounted with the cylindrical block. The cylinder head and the cylindrical blocks are provided with the water jackets in case of the water cooling systems or fins in case of the air cooling system. So the cylindrical head get cooperated with the cylindrical block and cylindrical head. The cylindrical head is tight and the cylindrical block by number of bolts or struts are used. So the inner surface of the cylindrical head is machined with the cylindrical shape. So this cylindrical shape is called as a bore. So this is the bore. Next one is the top end of the cylindrical head is covered with the cylindrical head. That is, the cylindrical head consists of the inlet valves, in exhaust valve, inlet manifold, and exhaust manifolds are mounted here. So the cylindrical head are made up of the materials such as copper or asbestos baskets is provided between the engine cylinder and cylindrical head to get the airtight joints. Next one is the piston. So transmit the force exerting the burning of charges of the connecting rod. So Usually it is made up of usually it is made up of aluminum alloys which has good conducting properties and greater strength at a higher temperature with the crankpin is used. So the special steel alloys or aluminum alloys are used for connecting of the connecting rod. So the piston, so this is the piston at the upper end. So the piston is fit tightly into the cylindrical, providing a gas-tight space between the piston rings and the lubricating oils. It forms the first link in transmitting the gas forces to the output shaft. Next one is the combustion chamber. So combustion chamber here it is the combustion chamber. The space around enclosed means the space inside the upper part of the cylinder by the cylindrical head and the piston at the top. So here the piston at the top is there and the inner surface is considered. The combustion process is takes place. So here it is called as a combustion chamber. The combustion of the fuel and the consequently release of thermal energy in the building up of pressure in the parts of the cylinders. Next one is the inlet manifold. So this is the inlet manifold, the pipe which connects the intake system of inlet valve of the engine and through which the air or air fuel mixture is drawn in the cylinder is called as the inlet manifold. Means here the inlet of air plus fuel mixtures enter here. And next one is the exhaust manifold. So this is the exhaust manifold. So in the exhaust manifold, the pipe, it is the pipe which connects the exhaust of the system and exhaust valve through which the product of combustion is escapes to the atmosphere. Next one is inlet and exhaust valves. So this is the inlet valve and this is the exhaust valve. So these valves are commonly shaped just like a mushroom shaped. They are provided either on the cylindrical head on side of the cylinder, which regulating the charges that coming into the cylinder for the inlet and discharge of gases at the outlet. So these valves controls the inlet of air plus fuel mixture and discharge of combustion products to the outlet of the cylindrical head. Next one is the spark plug. So here the spark plug will be there. So it is a component which initiates the combustion process in the spark ignitions, and it is usually located on the cylindrical head. So above the cylindrical head, the spark plug is there. Next one is the connecting rod. So it connects the piston. So connecting rod connects the piston and the cylindrical head, and it transmits the gases from the piston to the crankshaft. The two ends of the connecting rod are small. There are two ends. First one is the smaller end, and second one is the bigger end. The smaller end is connected to the gudgeon pin, whereas the bigger end is connected to the crankshaft. And next one is the crankshaft. So it converts the crankshaft converts the reciprocating motions of the piston into the useful motion to the outlet of the shaft. If in the crankshaft of the single engine, there is a pair of the crank arms and balance weights are there. For the balance weights are provided for the static and dynamic balancing of the rotating system. The crankshaft is enclosed in the crankcase. Next one is the piston rings. So the piston rings are fitted into the slots around the piston here, which provides a tight seal between the piston and the cylindrical heads, which prevents the leakage of the combustion gases after the combustion process takes place. Next one is the gudgeon pin. So gudgeon pins acts as a link between the small end of the connecting rod and the piston. Next one is the camshaft. The camshaft is associated with the parts of the control of opening and closing of the valves are controlled by the camshaft. The associated parts of the camshafts are push rods, rocker arms, valve springs, and tappers. These shafts also provides the drive to the ignition system. The camshaft is driven by the crank through the timing gates. Next one is the cams. So the cams are the internal parts of the camshaft and are designed to open the valves to correct the timings and these are used to keep them open in necessary duration, which it requires inlet gases, inlet air plus fuel mixture and exhaust gases. Next one is the flywheel. So flywheel, the net torque impacted to the crankshaft during one complete cycle of revolution of the engine fluctuates, causing a very small angular portions of the shaft. So it is used to achieve the uniform torque in the engine in the engine. For the flywheel, a wheel is attached at the output shaft, and this wheel is called as a flywheel. So these are the various terms involved here. Crankcase, flywheel here. In the flywheel, the main function is to maintain the speed as a constant here. So it is done by sorting of excess energy during the power stroke, which is returned during the other strokes. Next, as we previously discussed, for cooling of the system, there are two types of the cylindrical blocks are used for cooling system. First one is air cooled. So for air cooled fins are used. Second, for water cooling jackets are used. So here air fins are used. So these are the inlet valves. So from the inlet valves, the air plus fuel mixture enters. So there will be inlet um, port here, or inlet valve is there, which opens the air plus fuel mixture into this cylinder. So these are the fins. By using the fins, the heat can be removed, and this is the exhaust port from which the combustion products get removed from the atmosphere, and there will be a valve springs are there for the movement of the valves, and exhaust port here, and this is the cylindrical head. Here the spark plug will be there, and these are the cooling fins. So these are the cooling fins which are used for removing of the heat from the cylinder. So here piston is there. So piston are used for to and fro motion, and there is a wrist pin. This is the bigger pin, and there for the piston is connected to the crank by using the connecting rod, and this is the cylinder. When the piston moves to and fro motions, so compression process takes place, and the combustion after combustion, some of the gases will be exhausted, and from the crank, this is the crankcase. So the crankcase is connected to the crank. So crank and connecting rod are connected by a small pin known as a crank pin. In the crank there will be a crankshaft is there, and here the flywheel is not shown in the diagram. For the flywheel, a wheel is connected. So these are the various components of air cooled IC engines. Thank you.